Career Search Lunch and Learn. We are a career seekers networking group. We're here to provide you with networking support, with career search tips and tricks, with some of the tools that you need to be able to move from this group to that next forever job. We know this isn't really where you want to be. We get it. And our goal is to give you the information and support that you can in order to move from this group to that next forever job. However you define that next forever job. I'm going to introduce myself very quickly. And as I said earlier, before we started today, introductions is the subject of what we're talking about. So you're going to hear a lot about introductions, both on this platform, in the large group, in smaller groups, what you're going to put in the chat. How you introduce yourself tells us who you are, what you want us to remember about you. So here's what I want you to remember about me. I'm a former HR person. I was over 30 years in HR business partner, recruiter. I managed recruiters. I was a hiring manager. I even spent some time as an executive search consultant. I've now been doing this career coaching for the last 9 years, and I love it. I have to be honest. This is my best forever job. And one of the things that I like about it is the ability to provide you all with those tips and tricks. Now, it's not just based on my experience on both sides of the desk. It's really based on that, in addition to all of the work that I do connecting with colleagues, hearing what's going on in that recruiting world, talking to hiring managers, seeing what's happening in the world of professional HR and recruiting, keeping up to date with the latest trends, as well as what we learn from you. I want to make sure that the information that we're giving you is not only up to date, but is information that is really something you can use. It's based on reality. Okay, no hallucinations here. It's based on what works for you. Okay, what we know works. And our goal is to give you those tips, those tricks, those tools to help you move forward. Now, as I mentioned, the chat is open. So please put your information in the chat. Couple of rules, guidelines. One of which is make sure that when you're putting your information in the chat, please include your full LinkedIn URL. That means the https://www dot, the whole thing. If it doesn't look like a clickable link when you put it in there, put your cursor at the end, hit the space bar, and that should turn it clickable if you have all the rest of the information. Now, the reason we want that is so that we can connect with you if we haven't already. Please, because so many of us in this group are on free accounts. We only have, depending upon LinkedIn's whim of the day, 3 to 5 connection request messages a month. So if you are in the room and you see our names, please connect with us even without a connection message. If you're willing to do so, it gives us the ability not only to connect with you, but also to make sure that we can expand our networks without, and I don't want to say wasting, but without using up our connection message requests before the end of the month. We want to make sure that we can do those. And you already know us, you see us, you trust us, hopefully. Okay, you know who we are. That's number one. Number two, the chat's going to become really important. Not just as a way of introducing yourself, but capturing the ideas that you see. So if you're seeing an idea and it resonates with you, don't just say, yay, that's great, or congratulations. You want to be able to go back and take a look at the chat later, or you want to be able to put it into your favorite AI and pull out the nuggets. You want to be able to make sure that if you are writing it down, it's easier for you to remember, but also other people who are going to be attending, who are going to be seeing the chat in our private group may not have actually been here. They want to see what this was all about. So please fill that out completely. Add the word nugget, add the word idea if you have an idea for a future session. If you've got a question, write the word question all in caps along with whatever that question is. If you're new, put the word new all in caps, okay, so that we can try and find you. I think I have all of that. Next, okay, we're going to get started. And we want to make sure that we are doing that. If you can't find the raise hand button on the bottom of the screen, It's down in reactions. It could just be on the toolbar where it says raise hand. We're a good size group. So if you have something that you'd like to say, we'd love to be able to see your raised hand or wave it in the air so that we can share with you and spotlight with you. I'm going to let Ken and Sue introduce themselves, and then we'll move into what's going on today.
Well, I'll start because I was walking downstairs to get the laundry transferred over, and I thought, I'm going to talk about name record today. And then I came up and looked at the topic, Linda. Introductions. One of the things we forget is oftentimes the first, but definitely the second place. People look for you for networking, for job applications, for screening interviews. They look at your LinkedIn profile. And in what I call the first box is your name, your headline, your banner, your face. I did a random sample. Some of you may have noticed I was in your profile. I don't know if LinkedIn flagged you right away because it seems to be lagging these days. Let you know 3 hours from now, Sue Griffey looked at your profile. I went through the group, about 5 or 6 screens of group members in our Lunch and Learn group. I randomly picked you out. Some I'm connected to, some I'm not. So there was no favoritism. I wasn't looking for anything. 0 out of 13 people have name record. Now, I will tell you it's a very underused feature of LinkedIn. It's very easy to do. And when people tell me, Sue, I have a really easy name, that produces some bias. You think you have an easy name. You have no idea who's reading it or who wants to know how to pronounce it. And also, LinkedIn gives you the opportunity in 10 seconds, and it usually takes 3 seconds to say your name and maybe just your name. You can put a little tagline in there. Linda has it. It's a microphone next to her name and next to the check mark. Ken has it in the same place, the microphone. I have it. So if you want to think about giving people a second dimension, they hear you as well as see your face and your profile, I suggest adding name record. You're going to stand out. LinkedIn hasn't given us stats on how many people use it, but I can tell you from today, I'm convinced a lot of my new network connections don't use it either. But add a tagline, add something. Some of you have nice banners behind you. Take a phrase from that. Okay, I'll stop because Ken's got a lot to say too.
Well, I guess I have a lot to say. I'm still kind of tired a little bit from a trip we went to Washington, D.C. on. Just a few things. First of all, I greatly apologize for not putting up more in the group the information about the fake profiles. Got a little bit distracted, but I will be putting it up there. A couple of things that this is a physician heal thyself thing. I actually looked at my profile. I'm in the process now of redoing it, the about section and all the different jobs, because I found myself looking at it and I hadn't updated it in a little while. I'm like, is this really how I want to position myself? And even though I'm not looking for a job, I recommend you look at your profiles every once in a while. And I would even recommend someone else that you know, if a family member or a friend, look at your profile too, because they're the best people that will give you some feedback. And also, you can trust that they'll be honest with you. I'll look at your profile, I'll look at everyone else's, but I'm going to be looking at it from a different viewpoint. Uh, Recommendations. I have now been in the process of recommending people that I know. I suggest that you request recommendations from people, and it's different than endorsements. And that's one of the things which I realized going through this. I don't think a lot of people realize a lot of things that they can do. And I think that's on me because a lot of people just join the platform and we make the assumption that people know. And so what a lot of us do is something called evergreen posting, which is we take something we've done 8 or 9 months ago and we just repurpose it. And I think that's a great thing to do. The last thing I'm going to recommend is you have your introduction as a cut and paste, copy and paste. So when you do it, you don't have to retype it again and again and again. Great being here. And Linda, take it away.
Perfect. And you such great transitions into everything that we're doing today. And I'm one of those people who's looking at my own profile again now too. Um, it's and one of the nice things is that anytime you make a little tweak, not only does it help people find you, but it helps LinkedIn find you. So LinkedIn actually recommends that you make some sort of a tweak to your profile, even if you're changing one word, okay, once a week. You can take the word out and put it back in LinkedIn doesn't care, but it views it behind the scenes as a change in the profile. It raises your profile within their algorithm. It's an easy thing to do it. Now, I saw somebody ask, how do you do that name recognition? You have to do it on your mobile app. Okay, it's the only place you can do it. So if you go on your phone, and what you're doing is you're going to be editing your profile. Okay, you go to that introduction section, and one of them says name or pronunciation.
Well, Linda, I just
There's a
posted
little
the
microphone.
written instructions on the chat.
Perfect. That's even better. I appreciate that because it's an easy thing to do. And you're right, Sue. Very few people do it. And when you do it, don't just say your name. Okay. Add a little tagline. But especially if your name is either hard to pronounce or if you go by, people know you by a nickname, a name that isn't the one that you're using on your profile, make sure that it's there. And by the way, if you aren't using the same formal name, okay, the people don't call you, let me see if I can find somebody offhand, but so TJ, people call you TJ, but on your profile, it doesn't say TJ. So in your
It does.
Oh, good. I apologize, TJ. But some people have a full name. I was talking to somebody yesterday. So, David, I know that you don't do this, but I'm going to use you just as an example. So, if your name is David, okay, and everybody calls you David, that's great. But if they call you Dave, in that voice pronunciation, say, call me Dave. And in your about section, call me Dave. It's another way of making it personal.
Linda, I've been trying to get people to stop that my entire life, calling me
You
Dave.
can say that, but you can say that. Don't call me Dave. I'm David.
All right, thank you.
But I'm using it as a way of just demonstrating, and thanks for letting me pick on you, the idea of being able to personalize it someplace and make yourself stand out. We want to be able to recognize you for who you are. Perfect. Okay. The one thing I forgot to talk about in the generalized introduction, and Ken mentioned it very briefly, is that we do have a private group. Now, a private group means that it gets hosted on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn doesn't see who's in it, doesn't see what we post. So if you're asking, for example, for endorsements, you're asking for recommendations for other people in this group, you're going to be sharing comments, ideas. I'm going to share the chat. We share Ken's going to share slides. We're going to share nuggets, questions, concerns, jobs, whatever it is. That private group is a great place to do it. Now, please, you have to ask to join the private group. And the way that I've set that up is it's not an automatic entry. We want to make sure that the people who are in that group are people who are actually real people who are going to be there to support you, not to sell something. Okay, we don't want the bots in there. So you have to register for the group, you have to attend these meetings, or you have to say you wanted to attend and you've actually registered, which means I'm looking at your profile, or, okay, and you can't make it before you go in. So if you're sharing the idea of these lunch and learns with other people, and yes, please do, please share the registration link. Don't share the private group link, because those people are not going to be accepted without joining us. Make sense? Okay, we're going to start with some quick wins. And yes, Meryl, the name record only works on your phone. Okay, perfect.
Or an iPad. It can be a pad, a mobile device is where it has to be. Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, I see several hands raised. Are you all for the quick wins questions? Perfect. Let me get the quick win you all up here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a number of these quick wins, and I'm going to add you to the screen just in the order in which you go ahead and talk, and then when you're done, hand it over to the next person. So Kim, you can start.
Yes, hi. So last night when there was, at the last minute, I went to where, all the school budgets were, and my husband's on the school board. So we went to see where, the results coming in. So I go there not expecting anything. And before I knew it, the superintendent comes and got introduced to me. And I start explaining, what my background was and things like that. Before you know, she goes, "Oh, you should be a professor." And she was very excited hearing me as I was talking about the stuff that I have done. Before knew by the end of the night, she already spoke to the director of business or something. And she says, we have a civil service position we're about to post. Right. So I said, so we got to talk a little bit. So it was exciting that I expected nothing from that night. And I'm not saying I'm getting it, but to have the two people have already talked by the end of the evening about me. So hopefully she'll send the information over to my husband so I can just check it out. A totally different area, but they knew my background of chemistry and resource management and data and suggesting this opportunity. So that was really kind of exciting to hear that positive stuff coming back. So thank you.
Absolutely. And think about the things you mentioned. This was a random conversation. We think of networking as this very formal, very intimidating thing. You had a conversation with somebody, and look where it's led. You also talked about the fact that they saw your transferable skills because of the way you presented it. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That's absolutely fantastic, Kim. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, keep us posted.
Definitely encouraged
Okay.
me when I feel so
Next.
discouraged. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. And now we have Marilyn.
Hi, I love that story, Kim. These random connections turn into something. So yeah, last week I completed an interview with a recruiter, and it turned into an interview with the hiring manager, and I've moved on to the next level, and I'm doing the interview panel this week and next over a few days. So I'm very excited. Third round of interviews, and with a company I really want to work for. So I'm very excited. Also, I have another company that's a smaller company, and I'm a design person, and they wanted me to do all this work. I had to put together a recorded presentation. I passed that. Now I'm on to the design exercise, which is due today. But moving along in the process. So I've sort of suddenly got two sort of hot prospects. So very exciting.
That's fantastic. So we heard how Kim found her opportunity that we hope is going to go someplace. Where did you find yours?
They were both actually LinkedIn applications with no connection, which is really the amazing part, because usually when I apply, I go and find connections and try and get some in with the company. And this was neither one of those. So I was very surprised.
Perfect. Those work more often than we think. So congratulations.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you've got those conversations, if you've got those connections, build on them. Perfect. Let us know. Okay. Next, Kendra.
Yeah,
There you
hi.
go.
So I've been interviewing with a company since the beginning of March. I had a third round interview with C-suite level folks 2 weeks ago. So I'm waiting to hear on that. I haven't heard either way yet. And it's a large organization, so I know things take a little while sometimes to have decisions come forward. But I'm excited about the opportunity.
That's great. And where did you find that one?
It was a post. The position was posted by a second level connection on LinkedIn that I then direct applied to, and then contacted my first level connection who knows this person.
Perfect.
I actually heard from HR without the assistance, without the connecting of the connections. But then after I heard from HR, I followed up with my friend. I said, "Hey, did you follow up?" And she's like, "I didn't. I'm so sorry. I'll do that now." So she did kind of connect me with the person who had posted the position, not the hiring manager, but someone that was involved with the hiring process. So that's all going well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. We're now looking at, by the way, when you're done talking, just go ahead. If you're seeing people on the screen, pass it over to them. If you see yourself on the screen and you're next, you're next. There you go.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Cerny, an industrial engineering graduate from Georgia Tech. For those of you who don't know me, this is my first time on Linda's call. Thank you very much for inviting me. Anyways, my biggest wins have been getting referred for major companies, and one in particular was the manufacturing engineer at Lightera in Norcross, which is a few miles away from where I live in Duluth. And I'm just going to contact the hiring manager later this week, if not today.
Perfect. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Make sure the information is in the chat so that we can connect with you too. And okay.
Sure. And
Use
I
your
even have a link for you to schedule a one-on-one with me later if you're interested.
By the way, that's great. And my link is in there as well. Anybody who'd like to reach out for a quick conversation can mention, do you want to have a quick question about your profile? We're going to do another profile review session soon. Okay. But if you have ideas, suggestions, and we're going to do a resume suggestion too. But let's keep going.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Next. Uh-huh.
Hi, everybody. I am Shalia Nelson. At first, this might not sound like a win, but I feel like it is. And I wanted to thank Linda specifically. So I got reached out to on LinkedIn. It sounded like a really good possibility. But then it started to feel a little bit weird through the email conversation. So I threw it off to Linda and said, "Am I crazy that this sounds hanky?" Said, "Nope." And then she told me things that I had not done to research it. And so we both came at it from different angles. I went on to the university website and was like, "Is this job even listed?" And she went on to LinkedIn and was like, "These pieces don't fit." So the fact that we both came together from different angles and were like, "Yeah, this is not a thing." Now, I wish I would have figured it out earlier, but the fact that I started to feel weird, I was glad of that. And then I was really grateful to Linda for helping confirm the fact that it was not really a thing. So thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. And I'm glad you reached out. And you reminded me, I want to post about that. But the idea is, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
But there were a couple of things about that really stood out. Number one, this was an external recruiter who said she was working for an external recruiting company, but her email address was a Gmail. She was talking about a confidential position. Okay. And to be honest, as an external recruiter, there may be a confidential position. But if that's the case, no, it may not be posted on the company website, but they're not going to say you need to redo your resume and we need to have you pay for it in order to submit it. If I am doing a retained search, and I've done several, I already have my in. I know what that hiring manager wants, and that hiring manager wants me to send them my best candidates right away.
Exactly.
Does it go into the ATS? It will, just for the database, but it doesn't get screened through the ATS. It goes directly to that hiring manager and internal recruiter.
Exactly. And then the other piece was the immediately, "We need to do this right now. I'm really wanting to send." "Oh, well, I can't send your resume on because," "Oh, no. You're just lying through your teeth now."
Yep. So anytime somebody says any recruiter says your resume looks great, but here's somebody else you can go to have your resume updated, scam, red flag, run away. No recruiter is going to tell you need to pay. No legitimate recruiter is going to tell you need to pay someone to update your resume before they will send you in. At all. Just doesn't work. Okay. So thank you for reaching out. Anytime anybody has a question about whether or not something's real, okay, we may not all know right away. We'll do a little bit of research if we can. Okay. And see what's going on there. But yes, we're happy to help. Sue, Ken, and I'm sorry, I'm volunteering you guys. But if you have questions, please reach out so that we can help save you if we can, and point out some of these things and hopefully get some of them removed. Okay, TJ.
I had an interview with a panel on Monday, and they highlighted my LinkedIn presence in the interview. My posts, they highlighted it, and I looked at my website. and they said it was very impressive. So
Excellent.
we'll see where this goes.
Okay.
Just a week or two, they said. So we'll see.
All right. Make sure you follow up, and keep
Yeah.
posting in the meantime. And since they are, you know that they're looking at LinkedIn. And by the way, folks, people are looking at LinkedIn, whether you think they are or not. Your comments, your posts, your profile, all counts. Truly, it all counts, and people do look at it. So make sure you're doing that. Now, because you're already interviewing with them and they've told you they're looking, if they have a LinkedIn presence, make sure that you have liked their page.
Yeah, I
Okay?
have, and I've commented once or twice on their company page.
Not just their company page, but start commenting on posts from other people within the organization who are posting on
None of
LinkedIn.
none of them really have been posting. I've been stalking them, but
That's okay. And you can also check to see whether or not there are other people from that organization on LinkedIn, and then
yeah,
connect with them, even if they're
and
not posting and if they're not in the hiring role.
I connected with one of them before the interview, and said great company to work for.
Perfect. Okay. So,
And I mentioned him in my first recruiter screening.
perfect. Okay. I love the way that you're leveraging that kind of information. So here's another hidden trick that a lot of recruiters won't tell you, is that while they are looking at your profile, one of the things they're going to do is, we find that companies say it's that hidden networking. If you are connected to other people from my organization, whether you've had conversations, whether they can talk about you or not, it makes a difference. Okay. Not only will you show up higher in my rankings, but you will show up higher in my thought process, because you are making clear that this is an organization you really want to be part of. This isn't a one and done.
Right.
Okay. So absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, TJ. And good
You're
luck.
welcome. And keep on posting, everybody. And stay in your lane.
Post, comment. Okay. Comments are just as important, sometimes even more important. And those comments also show up on your profile. So when
Yep.
you look at your activity, okay, it's there. I don't want to look at your activity and say, yay, congratulations. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know what for.
Yeah, and I've been going back and forth with the CIO of a company for about 2 weeks now on all of his posts.
Perfect. Okay. Don't stalk. Make sure that it's relevant content.
Yeah, it is, because he's posting a series.
Perfect. Sorry, allergies in the Chicago
Yeah.
area right now is really bad. So I'm really not crying. It may look like it. Okay. But just leaky eyes. Okay. So now let's start talking. Are there any more quick wins? Anybody other than Alex, who's new to the group today, who'd like to introduce themselves? I see one more. Perfect.
Hey, Linda, this is Ray Schlinkert. I just wanted to jump back to that note that our previous speaker was talking about, the recruiters that were shady.
Yep.
I'm going to post in the note here that I received ones for people's names. I got Gmail reach outs from people named Jocelyn Kahori or Megan O'Brien. And they would say, "Hey, your background looks great." I'm not even looking that their email was a Gmail. No idea how they found me because they didn't connect on LinkedIn, and then would ask for resume, various types of what I'm looking for, what I'm looking to do, my background, all this. But they would say, "Hey, if you're open for a conversation, let me know." And then that would kind of pull me in. So I share those names. Keep an eye out for those names, team, because they're not, I don't think they're legit people. So that's all I
And
wanted.
again, if you ever have questions, let me know. Now, it is true that some recruiters will have a Gmail address. It is very rare. Okay. I admit that there were times when I did. Okay. When I was doing it independently. But most legitimate recruiters will not, and they will be affiliated with a company organization. Okay. Don't send them a resume unless you know specifically what it is they're looking for. And don't let a recruiter tell you they don't know. Trust me, they do. That's the way they get paid. Okay. If you have questions, reach out. Let me see whether I can help you figure out whether or not it's real. But I agree. Right. I've been getting a number of those myself, and I'm not looking. So they're out there, unfortunately. Let's keep sharing. Yes, Alex.
Yep. I was going to say, over the past month or two, I've been getting Gmail and Outlook. Wouldn't you find the real connections profile rather than responding to a personal account?
So we're talking about the recruiters who are fake recruiters who are reaching out to you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. If they are real people and they are really recruiting for that organization, they should have a company email address.
Yeah, that's right. I've just seen some impersonators as well.
Exactly. Out. Oops, I missed.
Linda,
Somebody,
I'm gonna start recording just in case we have an internet blip again.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, just seeing that my internet connection comes up and says, when we get too much rain, sometimes that happens here. Okay. Okay, Kim, no. Kate.
I
There you
don't
go.
have a win. I was going to tag on to the fake recruiter thing, but I think let's go on to the subject. But I did get caught up in a fake recruiter referral to another recruiter, referral in, and suddenly they had all this stuff about being paid in Bitcoin. And I thought, holy moly, that was crazy. Okay, goodbye. I don't need to talk.
Okay, so being paid in Bitcoin? No, absolutely not. Having to pay up front? Absolutely not. Number up front, you're no, okay. Now during COVID, people were asking for social security numbers, but there was a reason for that, and that was that there was a specific tax credit for companies who were hiring. There was a tax credit for them for your salary. And the only way that they could check was by going to a specialized database. Okay, so your social security number was asked for. Those credits are no longer in a place. So there should be no reason for them to ask for your social security number up front. Never give out a bank account number until after you're already on board. You've seen what's there, you know it's legit.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. So I love the fact that everybody's including so much good information in the chat. And I will admit that I don't always respond to everything directly in the chat because I'm busy looking at you and talking with you. But I'm going to do my best. If we don't do it now, we'll do it afterwards. But remember, yes, Carl, danger, Will Robinson, danger for the Bitcoin. Absolutely. Okay. Or you have to pay me to write your resume before I will send it in. No way. Okay. A recruiter who isn't active on LinkedIn isn't a real recruiter. No matter what else is there, that's not a real profile, not a real person. Recruiters make their money by finding you, by connecting with you, by connecting with the employers. If they're not active, they're not real. So that's another tell. Okay. So I love the fact that as I started to say that everybody's adding their information into the chat. So let's talk about what your introduction needs to do, whether it's in the chat, whether it's in person, whether it's, in a conversation. You think about what Kim was able to do at the school board meeting. She introduced herself as part of that conversation, which has now led to other things. My gut tells me, Kim, and can I bring you back on for a moment? Okay. My gut tells me that this was probably not, okay, a canned approach that you had. Okay.
No.
You made it conversational. Right?
Yes.
So too many of us have this canned LinkedIn or verbal approach about what you shared with them. And right, you got introduced. Hi, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, you were getting cut up. So could you repeat? You just asked how
Yeah.
I got introduced.
Yeah.
Well, she walked up to me, I guess because I've already been pointed out, I'm the wife of one of the members. And I don't even remember how it got started. I think I think she was talking about the way my husband would take some of the food where they have food for the board members there for volunteers, And we were making jokes about that. So very lively, very natural. And I think that's what I was like, okay, let me pivot into this just to say, yeah, I explained, yeah, I've been out of work for a while. I used to do blah, blah, blah. And then just continued with all the stuff. And she saw the excitement that I had with, all that types of information. And then you get to see her mind working. And coming back with questions for me, and also it was just a natural back and forth, and was no 60-second thing. I wasn't counting or anything like that, or trying to track that, but just trying to keep it conversational, and how exciting the stuff that I was doing in the past. So again, just not even thinking about any kind of a job. Oh, I think I did mention, like, I had looked at some previous jobs. No, I don't think I did bring that up. I don't remember, but again, I guess the excitement, and I think she really enjoyed the personality as well. So I think that's a big part. I tend to do okay with that piece. So
Several important points there, guys. Did you hear it? Not canned, conversational, excitement. When I talk about we want to connect with people we know, like, and trust, that excitement, that I'm excited about what's going on. I want to have this conversation. I want to get to know you, not just you know me. I'm not just asking for a job. Okay. And Kim didn't ask for a job. She talked about what she enjoyed doing, and the conversation directly flowed from that, which was perfect. Thank you. Too many times we think of these conversations as we have to have the ask, and it's really not the ask. But when we're talking about it in that conversational tone of voice, we want to know more about them and then move into it. Well, I'm skipping around in my own outline for a moment, but I want to go back to the idea of what every introduction needs to do. Okay. It needs to talk about who you are, what you do, what you want, right? Those three things. We used to talk about it, or I've talked about it sometimes as I am, I can, I want. And those kinds of things are important because what they do is they help us have that framework to talk with you. So I want you to think about that right now. We have to focus in on what's in it for them as well. And here right now, I'm talking overall introductions. We're going to talk about what goes into the chat. We're going to talk about what you say in that 30, 60-second conversation. What do you talk about when you're actually in those casual conversations? Because honestly, those casual conversations are the ones that really can pay off, because they don't sound networking, they don't feel networking, they don't feel salesy and asky. And by the way, with Memorial Day coming up, with the weather going back and forth, and you're going to be outdoors more, you're going to be seeing neighbors, you're going to be at sporting events, being out there with friends, family, whatever, in meetings, you have more opportunities for those casual conversations. And we find that those casual conversations are actually less scary, both from your standpoint and somebody else's standpoint, and often likely to lead to those more formal conversations. So you want to be prepared for those as well. Okay. So we're going to start then, since I'm doing this way, talking about that. In a conversational setting, by the way, if you're doing something in person and they have name tags, little tip for you, okay? You want to make sure your name is there. It can just be your first name, or your first name larger than your last. I don't care. You want to put a word or two that will help people remember you. If it's a business networking, job search networking, that's fine. But think about, where do you normally put your name tag? Most of us Right-handed, you slap it on your left shoulder. But if you're reaching out to shake a hand, okay, you're looking at that person's shoulder, right? So you want to put it on your right shoulder. If you have a name tag, put it on your right shoulder. As I'm shaking your hand, my eye follows my hand, and it will immediately go to that name tag in addition to your face. It's another way of reinforcing your name in my mind. Okay. Quick little easy tip, it works. People will help to remember your name. And as we start doing some of these introductions or some of these meetings in person, you've got a name tag, use it. And use it to your advantage. So I'm thinking about it. If we're talking about those conversational openings, what I want you to do is think about what it is you want people to know about you. And it's the same thing that I want you to think about in all of these introductions. What do you want them to walk away from? So put a couple things in the chat. Give me some ideas. What's one thing about you want people to remember from any kind of networking introduction, conversational introduction, Zoom introduction that you do? It's not your entire history. We're not going to remember that. Can't tell whether the chat is working. How can you be of service? You're friendly and approachable. You help people. Type of role you're seeking. Okay. Do you change that based on where you're doing your networking and who you're networking with? Remember, these are conversational. These aren't, okay, two-way networking. You're a builder. You turn, oh, I like that. You turn chaos into order, Vicky. Okay. Your net, right. The nugget is, you don't have to say it out loud, but as you're framing the conversation, you're framing what you want to put in that introduction. Here are the things you want to think about. I'm a career transitions coach. I can help you highlight and leverage your skills. And I want to help you use that to move into your next forever job. That's less than 10 seconds. Think about what it is you want me to remember. One of the things I think I'm going to start using is that I'm the guide on the side, the voice in your head, to help you help yourself, put yourself out there as you move forward. So as I'm reading some of these, okay, Marilyn says you design those computer applications for real people, not engineers, taking complicated systems and automating them, advocating for others. Okay. Brian, talk about that. You said one of your contacts intentionally puts his name tag on upside down.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been at networking events together, and he regularly does that. He started putting his name tag upside down, and people come up to him and say, "Hey, your name tag's upside down." He's like, "Hi, I'm Mike," and they remember him, and it starts a conversation. So he's made some good contacts that way.
Yeah, I've seen Kevin Turner on occasion put his profile, or I've seen some people on LinkedIn put their profile picture upside down to start that same kind of thing. I don't recommend that one, but by the same token, anything you can do to help yourself stand out, okay, to get those conversations started, absolutely works. Perfect. Okay. So what tricks have you all used in those conversations, whether they're online, whether they're in person, whether they're in networking groups? What have you used to help yourself stand out? Is your introduction working for you, do you think? Or do you have questions about it, concerns? Sue, I know you've changed yours recently on LinkedIn. Can you have too? By the way, I do look at profiles on it.
I actually put in the chat, they moved where you can find the QR code on your phone. It's not in the same place it was. So I also recommend that you take a screenshot of the QR code with your picture so you have it available. I'm debating about actually adding it to my name tag as another thing as well. Again, these are just different things to try.
Yep. And I've seen people use it on a name tag too. And it works if you can bring in your own name tag. Some organizations, right, you don't have those options, but making your own name tag and using it in an organization isn't a bad thing when you're going to a
Oh,
networking
it isn't.
event.
A lot of us have them. I have it for different networking events. I have different ones for the events so they know who I am. They know what I'm affiliated with.
Exactly. So I think it's a good idea. And that idea of the QR code, so that I can easily connect with you and see your profile, it's a great opportunity. Everybody's right there. They've got their phone, and it works wonderfully for those in-person events.
It's also a great show and tell because you can show them something most people don't know how to use it, and it's a great show and tell thing.
Yep, you're right. And when you say they don't know how to use, they don't know how to pull up a
They
QR
don't
code,
know
or
where
they
to
don't know
find it.
how to find their
They
own.
don't know it exists. They just don't know. I mean, a lot of people still use business cards and put the LinkedIn things on there. I'm a big believer in just here it is, let's connect.
Right. The problem with business cards, and I know that some people are trying to bring those back, is that they come home and they go into a pile and we forget about them. Okay. I've been doing a little bit of cleanup and I found my old business card file. Right. Now, sometimes I'd write a note on the back so that I would remember, but do I remember now? Of course not. Okay, they get lost. But the QR code, that immediate connection, perfect.
Yeah, this is what Ken's talking about.
Yep.
Yep.
I have it as one of the screens on my phone. I just do it when I'm going to a meeting, which is
Exactly.
not all that often.
Exactly.
I wanted just to address briefly someone's comment about what if you sound too polished because you polish your intro, which is great. I find, because I do this often when I first meet with people, is I try to adapt it to not be what I've memorized, but kind of like your interviews, phrases that are going to help you, that you know, however you feel, because Kim pointed out to us, she was in a situation, she wasn't practiced what she puts in the chat box today, maybe, but she had enough there that she could make an interesting story out of it. It wasn't just, you know, what have you baked or have you been to this park? I'm assuming maybe you did. But I'm just encouraging you all to get comfortable enough that you can adapt it on the fly. If you're meeting someone, oh, that's great. You said, gee, I heard you say earlier you drove 83 miles to be here. That's really commitment, and that leads you somewhere. So don't worry about too polished, but get a couple sentences you're comfortable with and don't memorize them because they never come out like, or at least for me, they never come out like I memorize them anyway.
No, in fact, memorization works against you, not for you. Whether we're talking about your introduction, whether you're talking about an interview answer, okay, anything, that memorization works against you. I want to talk to you, not what you memorized. And if you're so busy trying to remember what you said, what you wanted to say, you're not listening to me and you're not adapting, and it's not a real conversation. And I can tell. Carl.
I was just gonna build on Ken's comment. There's a slightly maybe more direct way to get to the QR code, which is simply click on the search bar at the very opening screen of LinkedIn, and then you'll see the QR code on the far right that you can touch, and that brings up the same image. I've also put
I
that.
thought they had changed that.
They
That's
changed
what
it. It's not
they
there
changed
now.
that, Carol.
It is on mine. Maybe I don't have
Oh, okay. All right. It could be a rollout feature because I had problems with that a month ago trying to find it to show
Again,
some.
LinkedIn keeps us on our toes. So again, that's why I would recommend almost having a screen capture of it so you don't have to go through the mechanism of trying to find it.
Right. Then you got to go figure out where you put the screen capture. Maybe if it's too far back in your photos, you're thumbing through that for a bit. The other thing too, I also put it on the back of my business card so they can flip it over and scan it. and they have the human readable as well printed there. So just
whatever works, but it's just great to use it, take advantage of it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And here's one more tip. If you've got a really good conversation going, make sure that you have your own contact information in your phone as well, so that you can do a share the contact if they are willing to do so.
Yep.
And that includes not just your name, okay, but it can include a couple of words about what you do. It can include your LinkedIn URL. It can include your email address. It can include your phone number, whatever it is you want. But there are lots of different ways of including that, and that sharing that contact, if you are in person, again, or even if not, if they're willing to give you a phone number and you can text it to them, you can share the contact that way. So that works too. Okay. All right. So now that I see another hand raised. Yes.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, I feel today I'm bringing bad vibes, but I just went to try to find my QR code and I got a whole big article about this huge uprising of QR code scans called Quishing, Quishing, and you need to be very careful because there are a lot of fake QR codes out there. So just be aware. I never knew what Quishing was. Now it's a new word.
Yes, it exists.
Bitcoin and QR Quishing, we got to get on to more positive topics.
You're right. And I see some of that pushing in some of the emails, the random emails that you get sent. Okay, so don't click on those. But if this is a network conversation, then you can do it that way and it works. Did I see another hand raised?
If it's not, I had it up and I took it down, but building on what Kate said, what people sometimes will do is put QR code stickers over the original QR code, even for example, on a sign or a menu or whatever, and that's a malicious code. So I've made a habit of, before scanning any publicly available QR code, just to rub my finger over to see if it's original or if it's been somehow overlaid.
Yep. And I agree. So do be careful with them, but if you're meeting in person, that QR code works. If you're sending a QR code to a networking connection, that works too. Okay. But remember, it has to be somebody you know, like, and trust to start with. So that helps. But thank you for that tip. I hadn't even thought about the idea of in person rubbing your fingers over it to see whether or not it was real. Okay. But the QR code, the name pronunciation on your LinkedIn profile, so far, 2 really good tips. Things that you can use. The name badge on the right shoulder, another one. Okay. And you'd be surprised at how many people ask me when I do those kinds of things, you know, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Why would I do it? Shaking hands, where does your eye go? And it works. So now let's talk a little more about that whole idea of, we've all talked about that 30-second conversation. We've talked about because I want to get into some small group work and let you practice one of them. Okay. So when you're doing that conversation, we know that you want to be casual. You would want to be able to share. You want to ask conversation or questions about them to find out what it is, and then adapt what you're saying to what it is they want to hear, what you can do with them, for them, how you can help them. Okay, make it that conversation. You've just met the new neighbor for the first time, and find out more about them. In a room like this, though, we want to be able to succinctly, or in a networking meeting specifically designed for that networking purpose, you want to be able to have something that you can say. You've heard it talked about as that 30-second introduction, your 30-second commercial, right? And that's true, but again, we don't want it to be memorized. We do want to be able to have some information, though, that you can share. So in that, again, conversational, think again about the thing that you want people to walk away from. What can they remember about you? You want it to be short, those kinds of things that you lead with value. Here are the things that I bring, like Vicky's, I translate chaos into order. specific enough to be memorable, sounds intentional. Okay. I want to know that you put some thought into this. So as Kim, I keep going back to you for a moment because that's such a great example. But that idea of having that conversation, she was able to articulate in a very short period of time what it is she does, what she likes, and what she can bring without sounding salesy, without asking for anything, just sharing her excitement. And that's what I want you all to be able to do in your 30-second introductions as well. Is anybody interested or willing to share a quick little 30-second introduction with us?
It'd be
Wait.
good thinking about your name record, get your 30-second one down, and then you'll feel comfortable recording your 10-second one.
Exactly.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll do it. I don't care. Okay, go ahead.
Who is that?
I don't have my hand up, Ellen,
I'll
but
do it.
his hand is
Okay.
up.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Cerny, an industrial engineering graduate from Georgia Tech with 2 years of experience in my field, and I take complicated systems and automate them. I'm currently looking for entry-level manufacturing and supply chain positions to reduce costs and defects, improving efficiency along production systems.
Okay.
Are you open to a little feedback, Alex?
Please.
I would
Yeah, go for it.
recommend leaving out the second sentence about where you went to school and all that. Go right to the I do complicated systems, and that's all I remember. But that captures people. I take away the complication, or whatever you said was beautiful. So good thing this is recorded.
Yes. But I agree. So we want to make
Mhm.
sure that, and it, by the way, it did sound very rehearsed. We want to make sure that you've got the information, but you don't want me to think as though you are trying to remember everything that you said. Okay. You want the highlights. You're talking to me, not writing something down. So that's important.
I see what you mean.
The idea of where you went to school might be important if you're talking to somebody who also went to the same school.
True.
But otherwise, that's not what's going to stick with me, nor what I want to know in order to network with you. By the way, reach out to networking connections, reach out to other your alumni. They're great resources in a
Huge.
variety of different situations. Okay. Ellen.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ellen Platten, and I am a corporate trainer, and I am passionate about giving people the tools and resources they need, all of you as well, so you all become more efficient and effective at your jobs. Ellen Platten. That's it.
I'm going to tell you the same thing. Lead with not the passion, the excitement. You'll leave my training having the tools and the. So you're not saying I'm doing this. You know, the more you can show the outcome, how you're solving someone's problem. You have all the content. I just want you to flip it around. And this is going to be important for all of us. I think in the next couple of weeks, Linda, I'm going to try to do a quick review on LinkedIn headlines. We've got to get better headlines about the impact we can help bring, not just I help people. And nothing against all of us who say I help people do this, but give the outcome. It was perfect,
No.
just flip it around.
Right.
No, thank you.
Lead
Because
value.
oh no, Linda, when I heard you say earlier and you were cutting out the three things, the I am, I do, I want, I wanted to jump in and say I had heard that you also want to say, tell people how you can help.
Yes.
What you can do for them.
And that's the whole point is we want to phrase it for them, not for us. So if you lead with your value, okay, I'm that corporate trainer who makes sure that you'll walk away with 5 actionable tips every time. Okay.
Oh, I love that, Linda. Take Linda's sentence and take out the content and say, I'm the X who leaves, whatever.
Right.
That's a great way to frame the, what was your last one? I can, what you
I am, I
produce
can, I
in
want.
them. Yeah,
Right.
I want, yeah.
So that's just to help you frame it, not necessarily the way you should. I want you to think about it that way. If you have some of that information in there, that's important, but lead with the value you bring to someone else. The same way that I want you to do that in your LinkedIn profile, in your resume, in your interview responses. Lead with what you bring to somebody else. And Sue, absolutely. That LinkedIn headline, that's something that we need to do probably here as well. Okay. And if you want to talk about helping to lead the session, that would be great. By the way, I saw your Mentor Time yesterday. I just watched your Mentor Time this week. That was really, really good. First time I did that.
I have a note to talk about that as a tip here about your name is important, but that's a
Perfect. Okay.
different that's a connected subject.
It's a connected subject, absolutely. But yes, as we're going to continue to talk about profiles, we're going to continue to talk about how we do that. I want to do a couple of these, and then I want to be able to get into those groups so that we can do a little bit of practice. Okay. I can't, I'm sorry, on my screen, I can't read your
Antoniella,
name.
I think is, yes, Antoniella
you.
Castellar is next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Antoniela Castellar. I'm an IT project manager, and I help with the delivery of IT projects in cybersecurity, digital transformation, and IT infrastructure. I am passionate about leading projects from inception through operational hand-ons, and I'm Colombian and bilingual in Spanish and English.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't read your name right there, but we'll get there. Kim, would you like to add yours?
Thank you.
No, thank you.
So I think Kate's next.
Kate, I'm sorry.
Kate Flanagan.
Yep.
Hi there, I'm Kate Flanagan, and I help companies and individuals grow. I take my leadership experience and I figure out how to build new channels, new opportunities for products and services, and reach new success metrics. I'm Kate Flanagan, and I'm on LinkedIn at Kate Flanagan 1. That was
And
painful.
where would you use that, Kate? Kate, where would you use that? Where would you use that?
General introduction on a network meeting, or I haven't nailed down. I got to narrow all my scope of things I do. So I would use that for a general introduction meeting, like a network meeting.
Okay. Are you open to some feedback?
Of course. This is the worst part.
No, it's not. So number one, it was very rehearsed, which is okay for this group. Okay. But we want to practice being able to say.
You're cutting out again.
But the Kate Flanagan one and your oral connect with me on LinkedIn, here's how, and then saying your name twice, the beginning and at the end, sounded to me too salesy and too rehearsed. It didn't sound personable, which is I know what you were going for.
Okay.
Okay. But I liked the rest of it. It was really good. And I liked the smile.
Did you want me to? I'll keep working on that because it was rehearsed. It's what I put in the chat. So I just read you what I put in the chat.
Yep. I thought it was really.
At least you admitted it.
You can take the girl out of sales, but you can't take sales out of the girl. So that's how I do my success stories. But anyways, yeah.
I got it. Okay,
I agree.
Carl, and then TJ, and then I'd like to get one more thing about putting it in the chat, and then let's do some networking because we're running late. Go ahead, Carl.
My name is Carl Brown. Leveraging my multifunctional and P&L global leadership experience, as well as years living abroad, I lead good manufacturing companies to greatness. I'm currently seeking my next global P&L role or general management role within a mid to large, higher tech manufacturing company.
Good. Okay. Any feedback for Carl real quick?
I just would flip what I think was your third sentence with your second, and I would weave together, this comes from the kind of environment I was in, capture their attention. I have worked and led companies globally, and am very comfortable delivering blah, blah, blah. So don't start with delivering, start with what your success has been. And then they see the bigger picture.
Right.
So I think you can talk more about, I always, Linda remembers this, it's not the doing, it's the done. What have you actually accomplished? Talk with your accomplishments. And global stories are important because many of us work in the global world and we don't always realize that other people like to know that it's important.
And I think that one of the other things that I might do is be a little less generic. Okay, I deliver successes, okay, to companies of such and such by bringing value, by doing X, Y, and Z. You want something very short, but that global experience is important. And your global experience or the experience that you've worked with those manufacturing companies can work regardless of industry, as you and I have talked about. Okay, so you need to be able to lead with the value to the organizations regardless. So if you're talking about that high-tech company, then in that networking room, that makes sense. But if none of the people there are in that high-tech field, it doesn't. You have to be able to adapt. TJ.
I'm TJ, and I help higher education and healthcare IT teams keep users authenticated and accounts accurate. Oh, did I not unmute?
You just did now.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I help higher education and healthcare teams keep users authenticated, accounts accurate, and support queues moving. I'm looking for my next position in the identity management, and I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, before we go into breakout rooms, and we're going to do that for those of you who are still around, and I apologize. I don't apologize. We ran late because we had the good conversations. You asked the questions and we wanted to make sure we answered them. But I want to talk very briefly before I let you go into breakouts about that Zoom introduction, because our Zoom introductions are all over the place. And as Sue mentioned, this is something, or Ken mentioned, you want to have something that you can quickly add to the chat. You want something to be memorable. But I'm seeing from too many of you full paragraphs. Such long information that I'm not going to remember it. I want you to, in the chat, make sure that you're giving me that full LinkedIn URL. Give me that value statement again. Okay. I don't want the history. I want to know what you do, what you bring value to, what you're looking for. You don't need to give me every single job title. You can give me a couple, but I've seen some in the chat that can take up a full screen. So be careful with that. Again, what do you want me to be memorable about it? Do it very quickly. Okay. I just played with mine again.
Linda?
Yes.
I've heard people, it's Ellen. I've heard people say that this should be the appetizer, just to get people to say, I need to know more. I want to know more.
And that's absolutely right. This is your teaser. This isn't the be all end all of everything you've ever done. It's like the LinkedIn headline, right? That's your teaser. It's like the first 2 or 3 sentences of your about section. That's the teaser. It's the way that you tell me that I want to know more. So yes, I understand that in a networking group like this, you want to include as much information in the chat as possible because you want to make sure that if somebody has an opportunity for you, they know where to find you and what you're looking for. But even in this group, you want to initiate those individual conversations. If you have specific companies you're looking to get into, add it in the private group. Ask for resources. Ask for a resource in the chat. And let's see whether we can't build on those. Okay, what I want to do now is, number one, talk about how to download the chat when you're getting ready to do that, because that's important. And we're not closing the meeting, we're continuing going. But I want you to remember that at the top of the chat bar, there are 3 dots next to where it says Career Search Lunch and Learn. If you go to the right of that and click 3 dots, one of those will say Save Chat. Wait until the end of the meeting, okay, and then save it. And it puts it in your file explorer. You get to decide what to do with it. It becomes a text file, though. If you want to do it the other way, okay, and this is the way I normally do it. is that I wait until the end of the meeting and then I click into the chat box, making sure that I'm in the chat. I've gone up the chat to make sure that it says all messages, right? You click more, more, more. Select all, copy, put it into your Word doc, and then you've got your clickable links. So there are the two different ways of doing it. Okay. Carl, I know you do it the same way that I do. And that really helps. And I will put it into our private group. But when I do, even though I'm adding it as the Word doc with the clickable links, sometimes the LinkedIn gods take those links out and it becomes a PDF. And if you're downloading it, it normally becomes a PDF too. Sorry about that. That's LinkedIn, not me. So here's what I want to do now. I want to put us into small groups. I want you to think about which of those introductions you most want to work on. Okay? Which one do you want the feedback on right now? You're going to go into your group. There are going to be 3 or 4 people in that group. I want you to pick one of those introductions, share it with the group, get some feedback, and then think about what landed. So if you are the person giving feedback, what landed with you? What do you remember? What stood out? What got lost? Okay. So much words, it wasn't said properly. And properly is the wrong word. It wasn't said in a way that was memorable for you. You wanted a little more clarity. What was missed? What should that person, what would you have liked that person to have included in that introduction that wasn't there? And you're all going to get the opportunity to share one introduction, okay, more if there's time, and then get that feedback and give feedback as well. And the reason that we're doing this is not just so that you get that feedback, but because I want you at the end of this to make a commitment to work on one of those introductions for yourself. So that when we get back next week and we talk about this, okay, or in our private group, you talk about it, want to say what changes you've made, whether or not this resonated with you. We always want you to have some sort of a let's do this takeaway. Okay. So everybody clear on what we're looking for? I'm going to create breakout rooms. Okay, 3 to 4 people per room. We're going to go till 12:30 and then come back here just to do a quick little wrap up. I'm going to turn off the recording though.